Hi, Verbling. My name is Michaela. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. And today we're talking about immigration and borders. We'll be having some discussion and reading an article. If you guys have any questions about this class or have a suggestion for future classes, you're welcome to message me on my Verbling inbox or on Facebook. And I put my Facebook name in the chat box for you. You can also check out my tutoring page. You can look at my availability. I have open hours this week, next week, and all the future weeks to come. So let's get started. We're going to start the class off with some questions, some conversation questions. And the first thing I want to know is, what comes to mind when you think of the word border? What comes to mind when you hear the word border? And I'll put that in the chat box for you guys as well. So when I think of border, I think of divisions, which isn't really a positive thought. And I want to know what you guys think of it. A little later in class today, we're going to be looking at this article. So I'll put that in the chat box for you as well. It's an article talking about borders, division, and immigration. Maria, welcome to class.
Hello, hello.
Hi, Maria.
Hi, how are you? I'm fine, thank you, and you?
Excellent. I'm doing really well. So, have I had you in class before?
No, it is my first class.
Nice to meet you, Maria. Where are you from?
I'm from Spain, in Zaragoza.
Very cool. So, today we're talking about borders and immigration. When you think of borders, what comes to mind for you?
Borders, what kind?
The question is in the chat box. Borders,
Yes.
the word borders. So when you hear that word, what do you think of?
I think in the case of Spain, I think the immigrations that try to cross the Mediterranean Sea to introduce Europe. I think African people, Moroccan people.
Your audio is kind of coming in and going out.
Okay. My microphone. No.
It's a little better now. Yeah. So you said you think of immigration and immigrants like African immigrants who come to Europe?
Yes. It's a big problem in Spain, and so to Europe. Spain is the door to Europe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a difficult topic, and it's important for most nations. Most nations have some immigration, so it's an important topic. Why do you think people immigrate to other countries?
Okay, I think it's in our country are bomb, guerra, bomb, guerra, bomb, poor.
Ah, okay.
Sorry about my pronunciation. Guerra, bomb, W, W.
Sorry, it's not your pronunciation, it's your microphone. I'm having a little trouble hearing you.
Okay, I try with my chat. Convenient.
Perfect. Ah, war. Yes, that is definitely a big reason to immigrate. That would change my mind
Okay,
for sure. So
cool.
war, poverty, anything
Mm-hmm.
else?
No, I think
Okay.
the most important.
Mhm. And do you think immigrants are treated well in Europe?
Can you repeat, please? Immigrant?
Do you think immigrants are treated well in Europe?
The meaning of trading, please.
Um, like, are they treated with respect or not very much? Are they thought of in a negative light or in a positive way?
Okay, I think go to Europe in a positive way.
So, the immigrants in Europe, do you think they have a good life or not so much? I
Okay,
mean, like African immigrants in Europe.
in Spain now have a great crisis, and sometimes the people, the immigrant, go with a positive way, but then here he can prove the life is difficult.
Okay, so they have a good life?
I don't know. I don't know a lot of immigrants, and the immigrants that I know have a good position here.
Got it. All
Yeah,
right.
from a job, I can see a lot of immigrants in a difficult situation, but comes support the
I'm having a little trouble hearing you again. Sometimes it sounds great, and then other
okay.
times the voice just kind of
Well,
drifts away.
this afternoon I go to buy a new microphone.
Yeah, it's so frustrating to have these technical difficulties. It's worth it to get a good one.
Sorry.
All right. So there's an article in the chat box that it's a link and you can open it, and I can screen share as well. Today we're going to be reading the article and discussing a little more about what borders mean and immigration, things like that. So let's get started. It's called How to Cross 5 International Borders in 1 minute Without Sweating. Can you read the first two paragraphs for us?
Yes, of course. So many nations are breaking up. Ukraine is in pieces. Moldova is tearing Liban, tearing,
Teetering.
tearing, tearing Libya has no government to speak of. Sudan broke into last years. Now both sides are fighting. Yugoslavia is seven countries. Nigeria has existed continents with many ways federally there. Even schools now are thinking of fighting with Italy. The article explains the first process by David, putting evidence of how to immigrate the migrants we have the more foreign, the more round, and longer to get this program.
Thank you very much. So, this is our introduction into what we're going to be reading. Do you have any vocabulary questions from this article?
Wow, a lot of.
All right. Where can we start?
pretend this is tearing?
This word here, teetering,
Yes.
it's something that's unbalanced, something that's in a position of potentially falling. Like if I'm trying to balance on a string or a wire, I'm in a dangerous position and I might fall. Does that make sense? Maybe we can find a picture on Google to help us because this is a very visual word.
Okay.
Let's find a good image. We have some fun images here for sure. And I like this one. This one is of a woman who's balancing on a very tall location with lots of things in her arms. So she's in kind of an unsafe position. Looks like she might fall in the near future. That's what teetering is.
Okay.
All right. And Daniel, welcome to class.
Hello, teacher. I'm late. Sorry.
Oh, no problem. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
All right. So we just read the first few paragraphs of this article, and we've been talking about immigration and borders. What do you think when you hear of borders and immigration? What kind of images do you get in your mind?
Here in Spain, we have a big problem about the border with Africa because a lot of people try to cross the Gibraltar narrow and to live in Europe. The immigrants try to jump a height fence in the border with Africa in a city in the north of Africa who belong to Spain, Ceuta y Melilla. Every day we hear in new readers about this problem.
All right. So it definitely causes some international and economic problems. Do you think that individual immigrants are treated well in Spain?
Treated, what it means? Treated?
Good question. So to treat someone well means to act in a kind way towards that person. So
Okay.
if a person is treated well, it means they have a good
Okay.
life and they're given a fair chance.
Treat. Okay, I understand. Sorry. Can you repeat the question?
Do you think immigrants are treated well in Spain?
Not very well. When when didn't have problems about economy, maybe people treat well the immigrants, but right now the people believe that the immigrants steal the job or the work, Spaniards, and then I think the trade is not very good.
All right.
About the situation, bad economy situation in Spain, the crisis.
Yeah, it's tough. Now everyone is struggling a little bit, so it's tough to deal with immigration too. We just read the first two paragraphs, which I think you might have heard some of. We're going over vocabulary now, and we just started with teetering. Are there any other vocabulary words you guys want to talk about before we go on to the rest of the article?
To split?
Split?
Split, yes.
To divide, usually in two. So if
Okay.
I say, oh, split this chocolate with me, I mean divide in two and eat it with me.
Ah, okay.
Any other questions? There's some complex vocabulary, so as you guys think of questions, you're welcome to ask them out loud or put them in the chat box so
The
that we can get back to them
uh,
later.
phrasal verb to get along.
To get along. Excellent one. Let's see, where is that? Uh,
In the end.
right there. right there. Okay. So to get along. Never heard that phrasal verb before, Daniel?
Maybe, but there are so many phrasal
Yeah.
verbs every day. If I don't practice, at the end I forget.
Mm. Maria, have you ever heard the phrasal verb to get along? Maria?
I sorry, repeat. I'm here.
Have you ever heard the phrasal verb to get along?
No.
Okay. It means to have a good relationship. Oh, hey, look, we have more students.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Ahmad, welcome to class.
Hi, teacher. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I am fine, and you?
Excellent. So, have you ever heard the phrasal verb to get along, Ahmad?
Yes, this and same. This always you get
Huh?
same. This always you get.
Mm-hmm.
Yani every day you get. Every day you get.
Exactly.
Is the
So,
same like get on in
yes,
English?
it is. It's
Mhm.
just like get on with someone, and that would be a little bit more of a British phrase. But get along means the same thing. It's just a little more common in the US.
Okay.
All right. And Aka, welcome to class as well.
Yes, thank you.
We're talking about immigration today, Aka. What comes to mind when you think about immigration and borders?
Nation.
Nations. All right.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Visa. Complicated
Mm,
procedure or something like that.
yeah, definitely. Visas and complex procedures. That's tough. And do you think that immigrants are treated well in Japan?
Actually, Japanese government is and people mind is pretty conservative for accepting immigrants, but facing the radical reduction of children and the number of children, so this new government began to say accepting a lot of immigrants. It causing a kind of a controversy now in Japan.
Interesting. So the situation is changing for immigrants.
Yeah, not sure, but at least the prime minister began to say so. But
Hmm,
I don't know.
interesting. And Ahmad, what about immigrants near you? Are they treated well?
Yes. Yeah. I am little speak English. Sorry.
That's okay.
You listen me?
Uh-huh, I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. But where this word? What's name? Word?
Which word?
You tell me what's a question again? A question?
Sure. The question was, are immigrants treated well near you? So are immigrants in a positive situation or is it difficult to be an immigrant?
Immigrants.
Hmm.
You tell me what word?
Good question. So immigrant. Aka, can you give us a definition for the word immigrant?
Yeah. For example, to live other country almost permanently. So
Mm-hmm.
that's immigration.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
So someone
usually
who's
people get citizenship there or
hopefully.
nationality there. Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
All right. Does that clear it up, Ahmad? Maybe not.
Yes, but a little understand. Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
You're welcome to listen along.
Yeah, yeah, I am listening.
Okay. And Daniel, you had a question on the word amalgamate, right?
No, it was Aka.
Ah, sorry, I just saw it in the chat box. Does anybody else want to give a definition for the word amalgamate?
A lot of things,
Huh?
but different things. A lot of different things.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. To mix lots of different things. Kind of a scientific word. All right. Any questions before we go on in our article?
No.
Okay. Then the next few paragraphs, let's have Daniel read. Underneath bad borders, good borders.
Okay. Bad borders, good borders. But here's an alternative view. This one celebrates borders. It says, the more the merrier, that under the right condition borders add spice to our otherwise ho-hum lives. That borders can be fun. This is, of course, a minority view, very much so. But border boosters have one extraordinary case for their side. So extraordinary it's almost unbelievable, like a fairy tale. Still, what I'm about to tell you is not made up. I've got maps, I've got pictures, it's true. May I introduce two villages? One is a Belgian town called Barle-Hertog. Population 2,306. 306. The other's a Dutch town called Barle-Nassau. Population 6,668. Here they are on a map.
Thank you very much. And the map is here. It's a very complex map. But before we talk about the map, what are your vocabulary questions from these short paragraphs?
Yes. What's the meaning of merrier?
Ooh.
Sorry.
Here,
The
merrier.
same question.
Merrier.
Oh, excellent. Two birds with one stone. So, well, the word merry is an adjective, so merrier would be the comparative form of that adjective. Does anyone know what the adjective merry means?
Maybe joy or something like Merry Christmas.
Exactly. Merry Christmas
Ah,
means something similar to Happy Christmas.
Okay.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? How about ho-hum
ho-hum.
lives?
Ho-hum.
That's an excellent one. Has anyone heard that phrase before? Ho-hum. Something that's ho-hum.
It's abbreviation?
Huh? Celebration?
Abbreviation.
Oh, an abbreviation. No, it's not an abbreviation. It's
Boring.
yes, exactly. It's a word for boring. Something that's common and not that interesting. So
Okay.
ho-hum would be like, if you say ho-hum, it means like you're bored, right? Like you're not really interested. So that's what that is.
Something or someone.
Well, here it's being used as an adjective. So a ho-hum life is a boring life.
Mm-hmm.
All right. How about from the other paragraphs? Any other vocabulary questions?
Boosters.
Excellent question. Anyone want to give a definition for this word?
To give push and uh, um, well, sorry. Mm, to give power suddenly.
To give power suddenly?
Yes, boost.
Oh, okay. So a boost, yeah, a boost is kind of like to support something or to give power. And a booster is kind of like a fan or a supporter. So border supporters,
Okay.
border boosters. Yeah, so you were right. Any other questions?
A fairy tale is it's a short story for children, no? Tale.
Uh-huh. And what does a fairy tale usually involve?
Something fantastic.
Yeah, something fantastic, magical, unbelievable,
Mhm.
something not realistic. All right. So let's go back to the map now. Look at this map. We've got the Netherlands in white and Belgium in yellow.
In my country, near my city, there is a town who belonged the half to Spain and half to Portugal.
Oh, funny.
Yes, the same village. It's a little village.
So how do they deal with that issue?
Sorry?
How do they deal with that? The town is half-half. Are there
Uh,
border issues like
no,
um,
no, no. The the people get on get on very well, but the half speak Portuguese, the half speak Spanish, and when we when they have to go to the hospital, mm, every citizen go to his country hospital, but no problem.
interesting.
There isn't physical border.
Got it. I feel like it would be complicated though for taxes
Yes.
because you might
Yes,
live in one
because
country, work in another.
in Portugal is more expensive tax than in Spain. The
Hmm.
the tax called IVA in Spain is 16%, Portugal I think is 22%.
Oh wow, that's a big difference.
Yeah. Maybe a supermarket in the Portugal side maybe don't work.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Find a job on the other side. All right. Let's read the paragraph underneath the map. Aka, can you read this one for us?
Okay, the hunky yellow beat leveled H1 for hard rock. Towards the bottom is mostly the Belgian town, but notice those little white bits inside the yellow, labeled number 1, number 2, number 3. Those are little patches of the Dutch town, and for Nassau. The two towns are not geographically separate. Instead, they are like M&Ms in a candy ball. There are 22 distinct Belgian bits and a dozen or so Dutch bits, and they are sprinkled together. So sometimes you've got bits of Belgium inside Dutch areas, and sometimes Dutch patches inside Belgian neighborhoods. They vary in size, The largest is 1.54 square kilometers. The smallest, an empty field, is 2,632 square meters.
Thank you very much. So they're just describing the map and how we have these white chunks and yellow bits, and it's a very mixed up kind of map. Any questions on this paragraph?
About this paragraph, no, but about the history,
Yeah.
how come,
Yeah.
how it's possible?
We're about to find out more about the history of this town. So if you did have questions about this paragraph, hold on to them for a second or put them in the chat box so we can talk about them in a minute. We also have this cute picture here of a castle where it has like crossed out signs. Dutenberg, Flutenberg, Gutenberg. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. Ahmad, can you read this paragraph for us?
Yes. In the Middle Ages, which of Europe was a crazy, quite like
Quill.
this. Parents would control a per parish of fault and forest. They would sweater fealty to one kind or marry to, then switch to another, marry neighbors, daughters, and adding land. Then produce son who would do, delive the India. Okay, stop here.
Okay, no problem. Thank you for reading.
This bad my read.
No, you did very well, and thank you for helping us with that section.
Thank you, teacher.
Okay, I'll read this short section here. Sovereignty in those days was very fluid. A forest might belong to Prince A, then to Prince B, then later become a mishmash. But nobody was overly concerned. In the Middle Ages, power was sprinkled among minor princes, secular or holy. Checkerboard maps were common. But then, with the Renaissance and the Enlightenment, princes yielded to kings, kings to laws and parliaments. Nations solidified and wiped away the clutter of little borders within to defend against threats from without. Local differences were suppressed or erased. All right. So let's talk about vocabulary, and then we're going to have a little conversation about this last part here. Do you guys have some burning vocabulary questions for us to answer before we have discussion?
Mishmash.
Mishmash. Does anyone know this word already? It would be something that's very well mixed up. So mash would be like when you squish something together. So mishmash is like when everything is completely squished together.
Mhm.
Any other burning questions?
The meaning of yielded.
Yield. Good one. Okay, so the second paragraph. Princes yielded to kings. What does yield mean? Does anyone already know this one?
To scream.
Produce.
Huh?
To scream.
No, that would be yell. So princes yielded to kings.
Produce.
Not exactly. Well, kind of, but not exactly. So yield doesn't mean produce, although in this sense, the kings definitely were produced, but not by the princes. Yield means more like to surrender power to, in this case.
Mhm.
And it's also a common word to see in traffic. So you might see a sign that says yield, and that means that you have to stop for other cars. If you see yield, it means you have to make sure that other cars get by before you go. You surrender your power of the road.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So now let's talk about this last part. Local differences were suppressed and erased. Do you guys think that when countries combine and borders are set up, that local differences are suppressed and erased? And I'm going to start with Aka.
Mhm.
What do you think?
Somewhat erased, but somewhat not erased. The situation, such kind of artificial border,
Mm-hmm.
maybe sometimes people don't mix, or culture don't mix. Sometimes mix, uh, but yeah. So kind of sometimes conflict happens between two kind of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's case by case, I guess. But
Yeah.
usually it takes time to mix. Actually, I guess so.
Mm-hmm. All
Mm.
right. Daniel, do you think local differences are suppressed or erased when cultures combine?
Could you write the question, please?
Yes. So this is coming from the article where it says local differences are suppressed and erased when cultures combine and borders are drawn. So the question is that true? Are local differences suppressed or erased, canceled out when cultures are combined?
I think the nation the nationality is something very very important for people, and if they share cultures, in the end the border is the border. In Spanish you are Portuguese, and the the difference are there.
Okay. So you think differences remain even when
Yes.
borders are drawn? Okay.
Yes.
Maria, what do
Yes.
you think? Do you think that the differences are suppressed and erased when cultures combine?
Yes, I think when the cultures is similar, sometimes the people uh, that live very near the culture. It's very similar, and I think it's a good idea. It's a good idea. It's a thing to the two nationalities. It depends the cultures. Sometimes when the people live very near the border, the culture is similar. For example, in Spain, it's very similar to Italian, it's Mediterranean cultures, or France, but it's very different people to Chinese or African people. I think depends to the culture. Sometimes
I'm having a little trouble hearing you. Can you repeat
Yes,
that?
I can hear.
I think it's easy to surprise us when the culture is convenient if the populations and his culture is similar. For example, Mediterranean culture. But if the people is, um, have a culture very different, I think it's difficult to price this order. You
Yeah.
understand?
Yeah, I think I get what you're saying. It's a very complicated topic, but you gave us some interesting ideas. Ahmad, would you like to enter the conversation at all and tell us what you think happens when cultures combine?
Yes, teacher. Yeah. In conversation, what's in people?
So
Yeah,
when cultures combine, what happens?
yeah, I like it. This in conversation, any conversation, this American and Arab and any anybody I want to speak. This don't a problem. Yani, you can anybody you can speak. Yani, you see another country. Yes, I
Cool.
like it. Yeah, I like it.
All right.
Yes.
So, what about globalization? Because even though the countries have these very specific borders, now that we have the internet, there's a lot more ability to cross borders on the web or on your computer. So, Daniel, what do you think globalization is doing to society, to culture? Do you think it's good? Is it bad?
For me, it's good for senior citizens. Maybe it's not that good.
So for older generations, not very
Yeah.
good, but you
Yes.
think that it's a positive change.
Yes, because the Berlin, I think, is the it's a good example,
Yeah.
because you can know, you can meet a lot of people from countries you never could think to meet them.
Mhm. Yeah, there's definitely some amazing
We
benefits of
we have
globalization.
we have I'm from Spain, Aka from Japan, I think. Hamad,
Mhm.
I don't know. Maria Jesus, I don't know. You from USA, speaking from Brazil, no?
Yep.
This is globalization. Global, no?
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Yeah.
I like it.
All right. I'm a fan myself most days. Maria, do you feel the same? And are there any negative sides to globalization?
Okay, I think globalization is fantastic.
I think the same to Daniel. I'm from Spain, Daniel,
Ah, okay.
and I can practice my English. And I have more advantage access to these examples.
¿Puedes aproximarte al micro? Es que no te oímos bien.
I told to Michelle that this evening I can buy a new microphone.
Yeah, sometimes you start really clear and then your voice kind of fades away. So we've heard yeah, now we can hear you. We've heard most of what you said, but then sometimes it's like I feel like I'm hearing you, but it's soft, very very quiet.
But I don't movie. I don't movie.
Interesting. Who knows? Crazy, crazy microphone. So you think globalization is totally positive, Maria?
Yes, in my case, yes. Yes.
All right.
For example, I have my mother is a deaf person.
Hmm.
We can hear you.
Something about your mother.
Is deaf.
Sorry, Maria.
She can't hear. I write.
Okay, yes, please do it.
Cannot hear.
I can hear you sometimes, but not always.
A deaf person. He cannot hear.
Ah, she's deaf.
Yes, deaf.
Got it. Okay.
I can speak every day. Very important.
Yeah, technology is very important for people who can't hear well. Yeah, we're having a lot of trouble hearing you, Maria. We can hear you. I can hear like part of your story. But
Okay.
put the rest in the chat box for us about your mother and how technology has affected her life.
Yes.
All right. Ahmad, how has globalization affected you?
Yes, teacher.
What do you think
Yeah,
of
I like.
globalization?
Yeah, this is good. This in يعني this very nice and learning in people.
Mhm.
Yeah, this and tell me the people in internet, any television. Yes, this is very nice. Now you can you governations. Yes, people.
Mhm.
I like this.
Awesome. Aka,
Yeah.
how about you? Can you think of some positive aspects, but also some negative aspects? Are there any negative aspects to
Yeah.
globalization?
Negative aspect of globalization, the how can I say, the kind of multinational companies, big corporation, almost how can I say, overwhelm the other companies or corporation or business. So, for example, one big site, the customer buy for example, bookshop is radically reducing here because many people buy book online, and that multinational from that much not multinational company site kind of to protect local business. Globalization sometimes cause a negative effect, or financial capitalism is growing with globalization. It causes a lot of damage to the actual financial damage to the people, like subprime loan or so. Yeah, everything has both positive and negative aspect. Yeah,
Yeah.
but anyway, now I can talk with a lot of different people from all over the world. I think it is creating kind of global mind. That's I think positive aspect of the globalization.
All right. Thank you very much, Aka. And let's read a couple more paragraphs before we have to finish up today. So, back to the article. Escaping the broom. Maria, can you read this section for us?
I tried, but microphone.
Oh, we
Escaping
can
the
hear you
broom.
okay now.
Yes,
Mhm.
that's what should have happened to our two towns. But for some reason, writes Alistair Bonnet in his new book, Unruly Places, it didn't. During Napoleon's time, peanuts were swept clean into one nation of another. The borders tidied up, but apparently, and no one can quite explain why. Early Nassau and Berlin Carton escaped to Rome. Maybe they were too small, too unimportant, or maybe it's their mosaic intact, becoming unexplained, and leaving a legacy of mystery.
Thank you very much, Maria.
You're welcome.
And Daniel, can you read these two paragraphs?
Yes. I object, said the cattleman. Some folks complained. In 1959, a Belgian cattle dealer, Zoe van den Einde, sued to reclaim a Dutch patch for Belgium, and the International Court of Justice at The Hague ruled in his favor, transferring 12 hectares of Holland back to Belgium, presumably to avoid future litigation. A border commission looked at all the various bids and announced that while they were indeed unusual, all these micro-borders were now known, fixed and legal. That should have been the end of the story. But there are ways, many ways, Bonnet writes, of complicating an already complex situation.
Thank you very much. And since there's just one little more paragraph to go, Akka, can you finish that up for us?
Okay. How wide is the border itself? People asked. How many centimeters thick is it? If someone found a rare treasure, a buried necklace and beautiful teacup, say, in a flower garden directly inside the borderline, would it be Dutch? Asked the Dutch taxman, or is it Belgian?
Okay. So this is kind of gets into these silly little questions. Do you guys have any big vocabulary questions before we have to finish up today? We read a few paragraphs here.
I've worked in border question because I'm surveyor, and the
Ooh,
the
interesting.
people usually do silly things about the crazy things and spend a lot of money for nothing,
Like what?
because the government map about the properties,
Mm-hmm.
uh, there isn't there isn't acquired. It's not very good because it was made maybe 100 years ago, and when people argue about his the limitation between his property, who is right? This is this case was to the justice, and maybe the judge can can say this is the right border or not.
All right.
It's good.
So we have.
It's good for me.
Yeah, it gives you a job, right? Lots of work
Yes.
to do. We have to finish up, but if you guys have any last comments or questions, you can share them now. Anyone want to share one last comment or have any other really important questions to ask?
Yeah, I think kind of border and language creates people's identity.
That's true.
So
Totally.
yeah, so kind of that's why America used to focus on the English education for immigrant people. Now American education tends to more multicultural, but I've heard of that from American kind of professor study
Yeah,
about it.
totally.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Those little lines mean a lot to people.
Yeah. Mhm.
Any last comments or questions from anyone else?
No, thank you,
It's a
teacher.
difficult subject, the borders.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Okay.
Okay,
There's
thank you
there's
guys.
a there's
Thank you.
a huge war right now
There's
about the
what?
border. A huge war right now
Ooh,
in the between Palestine and Jews about the border.
yeah, yeah, and that's not the first war about borders,
Hmm.
so it's obviously complex and difficult.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining, and I hope to see you all again soon.
Bye,
Bye.
teacher.
Bye
Thank you
bye.
very
Thank
much.
you.
Bye.
Bye.